good. That's good. And yeah. Oh, just make sure I can see. Oh no. Okay. Oh, I am. No, my computer is auto. No, I do not want you to auto snap that. There we go. And make sure I can see the chat. And good morning, everyone. Hi, guys. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and today we are going to dye some yarn inspired by that photo, this beautiful like winter mountainscape picture. I have no idea if how exactly this will come out because I'm going to be using one dye I've never tried before. So I have no idea if it breaks or if I might, yeah. But we're gonna go for it and we're gonna see what happens. And my vision is sort of a semi-solid blue within some larger patches of a forest green and some speckles. That's my vision. We'll see how close to that we get. But as you know, sometimes I'm able to nail exactly what I'm going for, and sometimes I get something cool, wasn't quite what I was going for, and then maybe I give it another shot. So I'm glad that you guys like the inspiration photo for this month. I've like, oh, I guess I should say, and I need to double. Ooh. Okay, there's credit for the photographer in the video description. I have either been using for these dye-alongs pictures I've taken myself, or I've been going through Unsplash to get them, and you can see that in the, oh, that's why I don't have this open, in the video description. I will get that. Excuse me while I pull up. I restarted the computer, so hopefully things will run smoothly. Will Stewart. Will Stewart is the photographer for this inspiration photo. And before we get started, I'm just gonna drink a little more water. You guys can't really see necessarily, and oh, the colors aren't coming through. But I've got my my ChemKnits mugs, and I'm finally using them, so I'm really, really excited. Oh, I can make my face bigger now. I'm going to move the dye-along photo and make myself bigger so I can chat before we get started. You can see we've got my steam pan all set up, and yeah, all right. But yeah, I was showing off I've got my DNA cable broken violet mug, which, again, it's like a pink purple. The colors are way cooler than they're coming through here. And the same thing with the colors on my logo mug. These are both available at Zazzle, and Zazzle is having a 50% off on mugs and notebooks right now, so you can get a really, like, a much better price. And so I'm going to drop, nope, that is not the link. I am on a roll this morning, everybody. I'm going to drop the link in the video description. The coupon code, oh goodness, I don't know what the coupon code, I put it in the chat earlier. I am a piece of work. 50% off mugs and notebooks with BC, we love you, Z. Yes, that is the coupon code that they are using today. Yeah, and speaking of notebooks, there's the ChemKnits diary is another thing that's in the shop. I've been very happy with the print quality of things from there, except for the stickers, which I think one person bought stickers, and if you did, reach out to me and like ask them for a refund. They've been like reprinting them and miscutting them over and over for me. But the mugs, I think, are like, of all the places I've looked at, the mugs I think are amazing, and so I'm really, really happy. But the color of this is so off. I'm so glad you guys are joining me today. Yeah, so that's the Zazzle announcement. The other announcement is that I recently had a restock in the ChemKnits Creations Etsy store. And if you guys purchase something from the shop during the live stream, I will get it to the post office today. I'm going to be doing a post office run right after I sign off. And so, yeah, otherwise things would get shipped tomorrow. But if I ship today, there's a chance it could still arrive before Christmas within the US. But if you want a guarantee before the 20th, if you get priority shipping, then I think the USPS will guarantee pre-Christmas shipping. But in the shop restock, there is this. This is a yarn from the Hanukkah special. This was not the one I selected for the limited edition Hanukkah colorway, but this was what I was going for when I created the Evil Fairy Oops. But it's like this rainbowy speckled yarn. What else is in there that's cool? Ooh, so I shared a little bit of this on Instagram, but this is a blank from the Christmas special, and it's got some speckles, like striping speckles of red and green, and then it's got these beautiful designs. And you can't, of course, I have it like wrapped up. There's like a little heart that I made with candy canes. This will be coming out on Christmas morning, like the video, as a present to all of you. But I'm really, really excited for you to see it. And is there any other yarn? There's only one skein left from the November dial-on. This is the Big O base. It's in the shop. I should. ChemKnits Creations. And there's one more in the shop. Oh. This one will be coming out before the end of the year too. I dyed, and again, the colors aren't coming through great right now, but this is the Alpaca Merino Boucle base from Knit Picks, and I dyed it with some leftover dyes, and it is now in the shop as well. And yeah, this was like, I was amazed. Like I did some low, mediums to high immersion, and nothing felt it. I was beyond amazed. So those are some of the new favorites that have made it into the shop. We'll be launching shortly the Teespring for t-shirts. But there is one fabric-y thing in my Etsy store now, and that is a ChemKnits Creations tote bag. And I love the way that these printed. These I have in stock in my home. I will be packaging these up myself. These are on Etsy. These bags are large. They have a squared bottom, so when they're full, you can stand up, and they can hold, like, I think I got well over a dozen skeins of yarn in here, and so it can hold a lot. And yeah, these are in the Etsy store. So that is those are my announcements, but yeah, we're gonna get dyeing, and I hope that this goes well. I was saying on Facebook, I have a new respirator, and I also brought down a dust mask, but I don't know what happened to the dust mask. I can't find it anywhere. I have others, so that one isn't a problem, and I'm planning to try to use the more respirator today when I open up the acid dyes powder, but I was like, what happened to it? So that set me all on I was running around trying to figure out what happened to that. But don't worry, I will move that inspiration image as we get started. But Keith's gonna wonder why we're gonna have to wash the mugs again today, because I've been drinking out of both of them all morning. I couldn't pick which one I wanted. They're huge. They're 15-ounce mugs, and so I love it. It's in the shop. The tote is in the shop. Okay. All right. I'm gonna bring that up, and I'm gonna just make it go away. All right. Oh, it says bad. Oh, stream. Okay. All right, so I've got my steam pan today, and I'm waffling a little bit about how I want to set this up. So the dyes that I have today this is some quote one, ooh, that was an echo, a 1% stock solution of Dharma Peacock Blue, and you can just see how this has crashed out. I will probably, next time I order a blue, go with a different one. It does dissolve as it's getting heated up. We might end up with some bluish speckles on our yarn, but I'm sort of okay with that. But so this is what we'll be using for the base. And then for the green, I have some Dharma acid dyes in the color of forest green. And so that's the one that I plan on using. That is my, okay. And so right now there's no water in here. And I'm waffling. I might end up overdoing it with the blue, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 4 cups of water to my steam pan. I'm going to be adding the yarn in super saturated. The yarn today is Stroll fingering weight yarn. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Everything I'm using today is dedicated dye equipment, and I plan to, while I have any powders open, I will be wearing a respirator and safety glasses and gloves. Hi everyone! Yeah, so, I can't believe I'm echoing today. It's like I can feel my voice hitting that. Maybe I just need the yarn in there. How much do I want to do? I'm going to dye 3. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, and this is still cold. Yes, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go ahead and add a 1/4 cup of this quote 1% stock solution to our pan. And yes, look at that. See how that is not perfectly dissolved. Sorry for any scraping sounds. I kind of wanted to add, I know if the water were hot that all of this would dissolve. Shoot, I kind of wanted to add the yarn to this cold, but I think that that's not a good idea. Oh, this is a nice way to start up. Yeah, I think I do need to start heating this. I'm on my gas stove top, and I wouldn't mind getting some speckles out of all this with the blue, but I'm not going for complete all over coverage. I haven't added any vinegar in here yet. So yeah, but I am, yeah. Oh yeah, you guys can see. I've definitely, like when I was doing, this is the stock that I used for the Hanukkah special, for that limited edition yarn, and got a piece of hair. But during that special, you know, once I added the dye to the hot water, things dissolved. And you can see we're definitely starting to dissolve. The water itself is looking darker, and I am seeing fewer and fewer of those speckles with just a brief heat. So yeah, but it was like, I mean, I think if I was going to compare the annoyance with this peacock blue to my annoyance with the sun yellow, the sun yellow wins. The sun yellow wins. Okay, I'm going to turn off the heat. Although this is probably pretty warm now. But yeah, most of that has gone in. Okay, and I now need to strategize. Okay, here's a cup. Oh, that had a cup in it. I did add some zip ties, oops, to my yarns. I'm curious how much or not of the colors will strike I'm using, again, it's scroll fingering weight yarn today, but you know, this is cold, the dye bath is a little warm, and I'm grabbing all three by the zip ties, and I'm just sort of plopping them in. And I'm gonna flip them. Yeah, you can see that some of this dye, it's like there goes my, wow, we can see just how much is absorbing. Was it soaking up or what were we absorbing? Let's see. Nope, we are starting to soak up the dye with no acid. That is a little impressive, actually. I mean, I have not added any acid here. Yeah, and we have basically soaked up all of that color. So, I was trying to do this all in one pan. I think if I had had more water. All right, we're gonna, okay, so this one seems to have a lot of glue. Okay, I'm gonna compare them. I think trying to add, I was like, oh, I'm gonna add the yarn super saturated to the pot. I think it would have been a little easier if I had added them dry. Oh, that's not as much white as I thought. Okay. Let's see. Okay. It's definitely not like even coverage, but it's less, a little less uneven than I thought, if that makes any sense. Funny. I mean, they're definitely not like the same. And like one of them has a lot more blue than the other two. But I'm impressed with how quickly this, I should zoom out that camera a little bit, how quickly this all went in. I honestly thought if I added it cold, even though we were using superwash yarn, since there was no vinegar yet, I would be able to get sort of a little more, yeah, it would be a little easier to get the color to go all the way over. But maybe, I mean, let's see. So when I used a 1/4 cup, that was about 60 milliliters. And so that is about 6 grams total. I mean, it's, yeah, it's a pretty low depth of shade. I might try adding some more on top. But I think first I want to try to zoom you guys out. Settings. Properties, there we go. Configure video. There we go. There we go. That's a little more zoomed out so you can see everything. The yarn did not soak in vinegar. I have used no vinegar yet, and this is not hot. This is lukewarm at best. But the dye that I was adding to was a little warm. So maybe this is just a color that does not require a lot of acid. We are cool now. I still have not added any acid. So this is what I'm going to test. Here is a tablespoon of this blue. Okay. So that's probably resulting in some speckles, but Okay, you can see that that did not strike like super, super fast. Like I was able to sort of push it around a little bit. But it basically did strike. But I was able to add like a little more blue. So I'm going to do a tiny bit more. This isn't even a full tablespoon. Like a spot check. I'm so amused. Okay, gently placing. I did not finish using that. I'm going to flip. I did want my little skyish blue base, and I'm getting it. So this is a thing, and this is something that I have not tried before. But this is why it's good to start with a little less dye, and you can always add more. And if you don't like the amount of like pastel that you ended up with, you can, like, it is manipulatable, right? So now if this was hot, this would strike a lot faster. So I would not be able to sort of like move it around more. And this is still definitely a semi-solid, but I've been able to even out the coverage a little more because it was a little, yeah, a little too, oh, okay, let's do these areas under the zip ties. Yes, they are missing out, sort of down here, and a little bit. Maybe just that one. I'll just make a teeny, teeny, weeny blue polka dot bikini. Whenever I say teeny weeny, I always think of that song. Okay, let's do that last bit. There. All right. Now, even though this has struck with basically no acid, I mean, not basically, actually no acid. I have not added any acid to this pot yet. We will need to add acid. We will need to heat this. And yeah, but I'm pretty happy with how this is going. So I guess I started with a 1/4 cup, and then I added between 2 and 3 more tablespoons of the blue dye. And I should grab my diary so I can write this down. Breaking out the Felici for the dial-on. Oh, awesome. Yes, the song is Yellow Polka Dots, but I think the blue was giving me some polka dots. So. I finally got the November dial-on up last night. I think that with the extra editing I had last minute for the Hanukkah sampler, I just like I kept pushing that one back. So today is the 18th. So 3 skeins, straw, 4 cups, water, saturated, skeins, no vinegar, 1/4 cup. Okay. Normally when I'm filming, I am bad about taking notes. Really bad about taking notes. But I am taking notes today. Oh, I should turn the heat on so we can start heating this up. I would say there's probably 6 to 8 cups of water in here. I'm normally really, really bad about taking notes because I'm editing the videos. And so I take notes on exactly what I did as I'm editing. And so therefore, like, all my videos have annotations that have the, you know, the usually something about the time, the amount of acid, the kinds of dye. And, you know, I use that and I keep track of that. However, so that's what I normally do. But yeah, in live streams, it's harder since I'm not editing them after to go back through and see everything. But yeah, this is more of what I wanted. It could have been a touch paler. Let me pull up the Dye Along December image. Oh, actually, I nailed it. That's actually kind of perfect. Okay, that's kind of perfect. Not that you can see much because I just covered it all up. Whoops, no, wrong. Oh, I need to select it over here, I guess. Laptop, there we go. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna make this a little smaller. There we go. That actually worked pretty well, and so now I've never used the forest green before, so I'm not entirely sure how well it'll work. Things will heat up fairly quickly, but I don't know, I'm really, really excited. And again, you know, as I said at the beginning of the stream, yeah, Dazzle's having a sale. Oh, I ran out. Grab the other one. And that was not a planned fit. I legit ran out of my beverage. Just the DNA, like, this is like, I kind of didn't have a logo before, like, this redesign, but the picture that I used a lot was this. I had dip dyed a broken violet blank, and then I had this DNA cable, and so I still use that a lot of places, and so I've been pretty excited about that. But it's really lovely. I'm going to reduce the heat, but leave it in there. Oh, I haven't added acid yet. I should go add acid. Okay, I'll hide my face, but I'll leave the like inspiration picture there for now because then I'll be sitting back down. So here's something else that I do to try to keep things a bit separate. I usually, when I'm using my dedicated dye equipment, I will pour vinegar into like a cup or something, and then use that to like add it to the yarn. Let's see. I don't want this next part to go quickly. To rinse out that blue dye. Let's do 4 tablespoons of vinegar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. You're not hot. Sort of shake it down. This is to sort of like mix it all around. Mix, 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 mix. Some places might have a little more acid than others. And you know what? We're gonna roll with it. So I have my skeins laid out-ish, approximately, so that way the circular skein goes this way. So we've got sort of like the top. It gives us like, versus looking at the O, we're basically just sort of seeing an eye. And so then we can flip it and add dye to the other side as needed. But I'm not just going for speckles. I'm hoping for sort of some darker sections of color and then some speckles. I could totally mess this up. We could end up with green yarn, and that'll be great. But we will see. I am going to set a timer for 6 minutes to give this some good time to get heated all the way through. What dyes am I using today? Today I am using Dharma acid dyes. So everything is dedicated dye equipment, and with powders I will be wearing safety equipment. Oh, I meant to grab the respirator so I could show it to you guys, but it is on the other side of the computer. So with me, I'm going for like these blues, and then I'm going for the forest green. There is white in the picture. Leaving some white behind could be a fine choice. I just personally did not really want to leave the white behind. I wanted to go with the blue with some pops of green in it. So that is my plan. And as we're waiting, this might be the last dyeing live stream of the year. This is certainly my last week that I have for dyeing, because then we have company coming and it'll be fun. Certainly there will be some live streams. I will have at least one more shop update before the end of the year, and I'm planning to do an Knit Picks unboxing soon, where I'm going to chat about the difference between Stroll and Felici. So that will probably be tomorrow at some point. And yeah, I mean, certainly there's going to be a lot of videos coming out before the end of the year. I'm finishing editing today, but ChemKnits is going to turn 10 on the 28th. And normally I would celebrate by doing like a really big live stream, and I would love to do that. But we're going to have like a house full of people, so I'm not going to be able to do that then. So sometime in January we'll do like a big celebration, like I'll dye a million things in a video. But yeah, as we start thinking about next year, there are some new sponsorship slots open for January. I think I said January and February. Those will start filming the second week of January. There's information about that. There's information about that in the chat. I know that there's information there, and you can find it's all in the ChemKnits Creations Etsy store. Currently, the sponsorships, I will take your color preferences into account, but the actual dyeing project that I do is a surprise, and the final colors are a surprise. At some point, if there is enough interest, I might make an option so that way people could have a little more design control into what takes place in the episode. But I would charge more for that. I have not tried greener shades dyes yet. The only acid dyes I have done are Jacquard and Dharma. And don't forget that, there's many ways now that you guys can support ChemKnits. There's the Patreon. That is a fun way to basically subscribe, and you get early access to content. And then there's always Super Chat. There's a little $ beneath the chat window, and it's like a little tip jar almost, and then you get like a brightly colored chat message. But yeah, there's lots of ways to help support all of ChemKnits, but I can't believe I started ChemKnits when I stayed behind on a ski trip at the cabin, because I forget if that one I had gone skiing one day and I was sore, or if it was the year I decided I just didn't want to try skiing that year, because everyone else was advanced and no one would be hanging out with me on the bunny slope. And I was sitting around looking for different ear flap hat knitting patterns, and I was like, man, I wish this list was online somewhere. So I was like, oh, I'll just make a blog and I'll put it up there. Maybe someone will find it useful. And a lot of people found it useful. And so here I am today. But yeah, I started to keep track as like my notebook, my lab notebook, to keep track of the things that I knit, and then eventually my dyeing adventures, and doing the blog kept challenging me to try new things. So that's sort of how this all happened. But yeah, okay, the timer will be going off in a second. Let me grab my my respirator and my safety goggles, which hopefully will still fit over the new respirator. But when I said, like, I lost my dust mask, and I know I have like 2 or 3 more that are like brand new in the case. I just, like, where did I put it? I am a very absent-minded person. And actually, I'm going to use you guys like a mirror. So this is my new respirator mask. This has a much better seal than the dust masks I was using before. Mainly, you never want to inhale any powders. And these days, even with Kool-Aid, I'm using some kind of protection because, yeah, you just don't, oh my gosh, this one is way more muffled. Let me know if you guys start having trouble hearing me. Or maybe it's just to myself I feel more muffled. The glasses kind of work over it. My nose is itching now. I will absolutely move the inspiration photo so you guys can see. Nothing's happening right now, so that's why I have. I haven't started yet, so I can take this off. Nothing is, the reason I will absolutely be removing the inspiration photo. It's just up there right now since I was sitting and chatting because there's not a lot going on while we were just waiting for things to heat up. But yes, I will definitely be removing that. Yeah. But you know, I'm gonna remove the wrong camera. I'm muffled, but it's not awful. Okay, that's good. As long as you guys can still hear me. But the other ones, this one is, the muffledness increases a lot. Whoops, lost an earring. That's okay. Just set those aside. But yeah, any particles can be bad to inhale. And now I sound like, I feel like I sound, oh, my voice is too high, but Keith would want to do a Bane impression. I can't do a good Bane impression, but all right, let's do this. Okay. Making sure the camera is still working. Good. Okay, so my plan. Oh, I still have to open this jar. I've never opened before. But I will be using the Dharma Acid dye in Forest Green. The color number is 452. And rather than working straight out of the dye container and risking getting moisture in there from the steam, I'll put some in a cup to use for my speckling. Now, I get a lot of questions sometimes about why I like to use my fingers for speckling instead of like a spoon or something, and you definitely can mix your dye powders with citric acid or something to cut it, but I found, at least with Kool-Aid, that I like using my fingers because then I can really control. When I do a shaker, sometimes too much comes out, but with my fingers, I only overdo it. When I overdo it, it's because I intentionally overdid it, if that makes any sense. Okay. Can I open this? Oh, cool. Let's just see. let's see. Ooh. Alright, I just tapped. I might end up going and getting more, but I just tapped a tiny bit into here. And for starters, let's just go really, really light. Some of that wasn't exactly really light. Okay. And let's just sort of see what that does. There's just like a tiny little bit there. Hi guys! I'm all muffled. That's a pretty green. It's hard because like my vision is a little tinted with these glasses. So, ooh, that is a really, really nice green. There's some sharp specks, some heavier ones. Oh, this is looking nice. I am resisting the urge to touch it, everyone. I am resisting the urge. But, okay, let's go. Let's go a little heavier. And down here, I'm going heavier with the dye. I will need to get more dye. But then I'm going to take my spoon this time. And, ooh, that's a lovely, lovely color. Oh, that color is so nice. Oh, I'm not sure if it's looking, oh no, that was a splash. That was my fault. I'm not sure if it's looking so teal because of the blue. That is really, really pretty. Oh, I am really excited. I'm not sure how deep this is going to penetrate, but that is awesome. This is it a spruce green? It's forest green. Forest green. I am just really liking this. I'm just really, really, really liking this. I'm definitely going to need to get a little more out, but I think I'm going to do some lighter speckles over here. I think my favorite is when there's like almost no dye left on my fingers and I can get like the most micro little specks. That is so pretty. I'm going to add a little more down here. To ramp up this color down here. It's hard for me to see what exactly is taking place down there because I definitely see some like heavier color and some lighter color. I will probably need to still add some more to the other side, but yeah, I am really, really excited. So right now I've got the green, like the more semi-solid green to about here. I've got speckles to about here. And then it's sort of a semi-solid blue at this other end. Should I add some speckles down here or leave this sort of clean? That is the question that I pose to all of you as I come and sit down. You guys can see me in all this glory. That wasn't so bad at all. Got a little bit of indentation on my cheeks, but that was on the, oh, it is looking black on the screen. It definitely looks really more green in person. This is one of the reasons why I always started doing recaps after my live streams, because I found that the colors like don't always come through, but it's like a deep, deep, deep green. But it's definitely more green in person. Let me see if I can edit the color a bit. That is not the right one. I renamed because I now have another camera. Nope. No, let's go back to the auto. I'm not sure if you guys see all this well. Yeah, I really wish this yeah, I think it's just not going. I wish that I could add in, on my DSLR, like if I saw this, I would add like, you know, because it's not quite the white balance, but I would add in like some of the reds back in. I find that that actually would probably help, but it definitely is not black. Definitely not. Making sure I can see everything. Yes, I can. I was just playing around with that. I don't know if I don't hit like I can change the temperature, but what I've always wanted to be able to do was to be able to add the reds back in, because I found that even just the temperature of the fuchsia is like undercompensated on the camera, and that's not something I can adjust in the software. Yes, I've got daylight, kitchen light, and the light over the stove. I know that you're a photographer. Yeah, my photography skills are very amateur. Yeah, but this, whoa, oh, whoa. Okay, so I stand up and I'm like blown away by that green, because the blues are looking good, but wow. Oh, that is beautiful. Oh, I didn't even set. Where did my spoon go? Uh-oh. Oh, fine. The spoon was still on site. Should set a timer. We're clearing. There's a little bit left, so I don't want to move it yet. But, oh. Yeah, I just tried adding some of that yellow back, and it didn't. I think it's so dark, and that's part of the problem. Yeah, let me see again. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a feature of, I probably need a new streaming software. It is, when I first added the dye, it definitely looked a little black. And let's see. What did I do? Oh no. Uh-oh. Crap. Okay, we're good. That was scary. That was a scary moment. Oh man. I thought that I had like messed up the camera entirely. Okay, let's try this again. Properties. Because that's too blue. Yeah, the adding the yellow back in. Oh, maybe the saturation will help. It's still looking a little black. Yeah. I wish I could get that green in for you guys. I will take a picture. Where is it not as where it's not as immersed, it looks more green. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like when I stand up, I'm like, whoa! It's like, I mean, forest green is the perfect color for it. There's zero question. This does not look black in person. This looks, yeah. I mean, I guess like, what do I have around that could be green? But it's like beautiful and saturated. But oh, I hate here. Should I add speckles all the way or not? That is my question. Let me pull up the inspiration photo a little. This is what I've done so far. We've got, oh, I can't. I like not covered my face. This was the inspiration photo, hide the inspiration photo. So I've got in one section, it is this saturated forest green. Then in the middle, it is like blue with some green speckles. And then at the other end, it is just sort of that semi-solid blue from the beginning. And so what I'm not sure of is if I want to add speckles all the way to that other end or not. It's not really going to spread very much. The water level is low enough that things are pretty much going to stay where they are. Speckled as is. Okay. Yes, on my phone it'll definitely show green. Let me see if I can then. I've done this before, which shows me the wonderfulness of my cameras. And the laptop camera is not perfect either, but it shows up some tones a bit better. At the very least, I should be able to add this to my Instagram stories. Oh, come on, phone. There we go. I'll like lean over. Still, that green is not coming through. Let's see. No, I don't want to delete the image. Let's see. Let's go to Pro, because you are. Let's change the white balance here. There we go. Found a good white balance on my phone. Let's see if I do that on here. Do you believe it? Okay. Let me. All right. Well, I still need to speckle the other side. So right now, what we're waiting on is that. And forgive my pants shot. Okay. I'm going to come big and see. I mean, the colors, I didn't even try adjusting the colors on the screen today. I mean, yeah, no, that's not looking, that's not going to help right now. But it is a bright, bright green. I will try to get some better pictures of it later. We've speckled as is. Awesome. Yeah, it will. I'm going to go check and see how things are spreading or not. And that will help. And then we'll have to flip it because we're definitely going to need to add some dye to the other side. At the very least, in this middle area, there's currently no speckles on that other side. But if I look, yeah, you can see that there might be a tiny hint, but basically these colors have absorbed to the yarn. That one's done pretty well as well. Let's see, if I were to move this, you can see how, you know, we don't have like speckles in that middle area at all yet. So that's one of the reasons for flipping. But when we flip, after we flip and another round, then I'll like be able to just sort of like move it. Yeah, you can move it around to then get like some more speckles in areas. But let's glove up and flip the yarn. Yeah, so actually the purple's looking pretty good today. Oh, that's another issue I have, actually, is that I need to get things to look good here, and then the colors feel less saturated for you guys. Not like waiting. There's a bit of a delay from, yeah, well, that's actually not so bad. There's usually a bit of a delay between like what I see and then what you guys see. All right. I'm going to lift up. Oh yeah, that's not bad at all. And put down and lift up and put down and lift up and put down. Okay, now things are definitely going to need to be like fixed and adjusted, and you can see that even that darkest green area did not penetrate that far. This might make that dark green section like a little bigger, but we'll see. But you can see like this flipped really nicely today, and that we're now looking at patches with like basically no green on it at all. It's almost like a blank slate again. But if I had been doing this with one skein of yarn instead of 3, I think that we would have gotten a little more color penetration already. So, okay, actually I'm not going to worry about those sticking out a bit because that side is the side where I'm not really doing anything to. So I'm now going to focus more on spreading out sort of like this region. Okay. I will need to get a little more dye out of my thingy-madoodle. So here comes the muffled ChemKnits yarn. See if I can figure out, yep. Nice and tight, the tightness check worked. So the main reason why I have swapped from, it's not very much dye at all, from Dharma acid dyes from Jacquard acid dyes to Dharma is that Dharma's cheaper, and like for a little more money you get like way more volume of the dye, and people still seem to be really, really happy with it. So therefore, I thought it was worth using.
Alright, let's go heavier here. Oh, this is why we wear safety equipment, my friends. So we add it heavy, and then over here, we are just sort of dissolving it on site. And so it's going to give some like really, really dark patches, but also some like less dark. But it's still striking pretty fast. I'm really, really impressed. But you could also just speckle, and then you could dip the end into some green as like a dip dyed thing versus doing it sort of all here together. I do want a little more here. I will likely need to go back into the dye container again. But I'm still impressed that even with me moving it around, it is staying so much on one side of the yarn. I think that that is really cool. I think that that is just really, really cool. And we will definitely need to take a closer look in at all of that soon. Because, yeah, even like right there, there's not. But that's the thing. You could take the yarn out, let it cool up. I'm going to need to wash off this and dry my fingers. Can get any more. I'm going a little high. Oh, that was a little heavy. I went a little higher up there because I know I have it a little more scrunched, so it's like approximately the same kind of region. But when the cup is mostly empty, that can be a good time for some tapping. Rinsing off my spoon. I do try to reuse gloves as much as possible while I'm dyeing, but sometimes my hands get so sweaty I know I won't be able to get them back on easily.
Alright. Yes, I added 4 tablespoons of vinegar. I added vinegar as we were like heating things up a bit. I'm going to move myself over here. I do have nylon zip ties. Okay, what did I just... Right back. I do have removable nylon zip ties on the yarn, which helps me flip it. And now I am curious. I came on down and I was like, why do my fingers look a little green? I must have touched the cup with my hands before I put the gloves back on. Because I was like, oh no, I touched the mask after I took off my gloves. But I just checked and they're not seeing any color powder on the mask. Just a little paranoia. Yeah, oh, I can take the inspiration photo back away, but I sort of wanted to like throw that up to give like how it's looking. Oh yes, it would be really, really fun to paint these pictures on sock blanks. I actually really wish that I had more of a painterly skill. The extent in the October ChemKnits dialogue, that was basically the extent of my paint skills. Like I could do like very little stuff, but drawing is not a strength of mine at all. But it would be really, really nice. Thingamadoodle, oh yeah, I say stuff like that a lot. Technical jargon. um, yeah, man, I really don't mind the respirator. It makes my voice really muffled, but I think that personal safety is really, really important. Um, and so, like, yeah, you just don't want to inhale anything. You really don't. Um, and everything that I'm using is dedicated dye equipment. It's not stuff I use for food, so there is that as well. And I did not set a timer. All right, I'm going to send you guys to a brief commercial break. Set a timer, hang tight. I will be back. Yeah. It says for 6 minutes. Waiting for. And YouTube decides who sees a commercial and who does not. Oh, now I can actually press insert. But I think that I have to wait for like where things are on the preview to do stuff versus where things are. I have to wait for where things are on the preview versus where things are live with me. So that is that. But we definitely, yeah, someday I'm like, ooh, I could use, I'm not at a point where I could hire someone else to help me. But sometimes for these live streams, if I can have an assistant someday, they could be watching the stream in another room and create like a highlight reel. But I think that they have to be doing that as they're watching how the stream is coming through, not when I'm doing live. And so I currently do not have the capability to do that and dye and stuff at the same time. Yeah, just a little branding. Sipping, well, it's just water. No, it's funny, my mother-in-law saw the mugs and she's like, you should give them to everybody. And I'm like, what do you mean, like the family? I'm like, oh, I had it planned far enough in advance for that. But I was like, maybe next year I can give everybody my branded stuff. Although I probably should give her a mug. She doesn't watch these, so I can't talk about that. I'll figure something out. Well, I can't see the chat. The trees as snow, I think would be really cool. Yeah, it would be beautiful. It would be beautiful. Oh, Valerian, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. The color blue I used was peacock blue. I don't entirely recommend it because it didn't stay in solution well, but it is a very, very nice blue. I think that the Dharma has another blue that's a primary that I might go for if I wanted to have one as like a stock solution. But in general, I think my preference is more to like mix things on the go. And I think that versus having things in a stock solution, because I really enjoy sort of like adding the powder and then like mixing it up on site. But there are things that I'm going to need to think about because as you saw, this superwash yarn absorbed all the color with no vinegar. So it's possible that my tap water is acidic enough, but you know, I definitely will see, like with food coloring, this yarn will absorb some of the red number 3s right away. Not so much the other colors, those it does need, like the blues, it needs acid. But the chemistry of like a blue commercial dye is likely different than like blue number 1. So, yes. So I think that, yeah, and one of the other times when I was using the peacock blue, someone was like, oh, I don't recommend using that as a primary, use this other one. But again, things can change from dye batch to dye batch sometimes, but yeah, like Jacquard Sun Yellow is on my nemesis list. The Brilliant Yellow is really, really nice. And I also really like the Fire Engine Red, although so far that I haven't like used enough to really see what kind of the red from it, but I've gotten some nice pinks. You've heard that urea can help consistency in stock solution, particularly dyes that gel up. Yes. I have heard that as well. And I think I might even have some urea, but the thing with the Sun Yellow is that I was not aware of the issue until it had like gelled up and then crashed out of solution. And so you can also, because it was in solution when it was hot, so you can also like heat up your stocks before you use them. It depends on how important consistency is to you and your brand. I found that even with these crashed out sort of slurries, like some of them get more concentrated towards the bottom of the bottle. I've seen that with ones that did not seem crashed out at all. I think my purple, I discovered that. So yeah, I still have some learning with stock solutions. I mean, I have a lot of experience with stock solutions, but not with dye stock solutions. So I think that these Dharma stock solutions, I only mixed up I didn't mix up a whole liter of them. I only did a smaller volume to have enough for the project I was doing, and then I have some left over. Caribbean blue is a good primary. Oh, good. Oh, good. But yeah, I love the thought of like the painting with like trees and snow. I know that some people will likely be sad that I don't really have like some of the white of the snow, that I'm choosing like the blues or give us the snow and the sky and the mountains today. That's my thought. But I am like, so the pen is like right there, but I did need some water. What else is going on? I've been, because since I'm not going to be able to dye while we have company, I will have some time for editing. So I've been filming up a storm for fun stuff for the new year. And there goes the timer. Let's go check this out. Oh, it's probably the spoon. That's where I got green on my hand. And then I've rinsed the spoon off. So this green, someone asked me I'm using forest green, but with the blue, it definitely looks like a spruce-ish teal. Yeah, but this is really nicely in solution. I don't really want to flip things necessarily, but I do want to sort of investigate. If that makes any sense. I mean, it's hot, so I'm not going to stick my hands in, but I'm curious about the color penetration. Yeah, I've learned to make my liquid dyes fresh whenever I need a stock, but everyone I have done in advance has crashed out. Yeah. So like one reason why I like having the stocks is that then I don't have to deal with the powders, and it's a little like safer because you're not going to inhale the powders. But the downside is that like the lack of potential consistency. Okay. I want to see how this does the tippy look. Okay, we are going to rotate. Not bad, not like horribly consistent with the dark patch. But this is a learning process. Because also I'm trying to do 3 when normally, yeah, I was going for 3 at a time when normally I do like 1 or 2. Because one of the things I was personally curious about learning was sort of trying to shift this so we see
spots that might still need speckling. Yeah, for something like this where there's going to be differences between them anyway in terms of the dye lot, I personally will probably go for, I'll probably go back down to like 2 at a time. This feels a little crowded for this technique, in my opinion. But everybody has like a different level of like comfort, and I think that especially down here where I was adding the dye heavy and sort of moving it around, that just wasn't, the water level is so low that it would be better to either have more water in there to help that along, or use like a pre-mixed dye versus the powder. It'd be interesting to paint the picture on a sock leg and then unwind it to see the effect. Yes, that's the comment that you readed. It would be really, really interesting to see that. All right, let's get chitted back up. Yeah, there's sometimes people who will ask, and those of you that, oh, that was too much. That was too much dye. This is why I use a cup. That's a lot of dye. That's a lot of dye. Oh well, at least the one perk of having the lot of dye is that it is easier, way, way easier to, having a lot of dye is significantly easier to pick up and then get the various amounts that you want. Let's do this. Let's do, oh man, got a little dampness on my, and that directly to this water. That's what I should have done. I should have squished it and then added it to that water to help sort of get these ends. That's okay. I think that this is still really pretty and it's going to look really, really cool. Yeah, so I'm barely even like touching my fingers together to just let some hints of this come out. There we go. And then when I know that there's not much left in between my fingers, then I might go a little heavier with the, oh, clearly there. You could use some like legit speckles on it. There we go. Yeah, but I hate to actually introduce moisture into my dye stock, especially when what, I think these are like 2 ounces or something like that. So that is why I do that. And the heat is still on low. I'm setting a timer for 5 minutes, but this time I'm not going to just go and grab that spoon, even though I kind of want to. This is really, really pretty. I don't know if I'm going to want to flip it a 3rd time. Oh, sorry. I guess I have flipped it. I mean a 4th time. Let's see. Yes, I'm using acid dyes today. I guess that's one thing about this mask that's pretty good,
is that now you guys can obviously tell when I'm wearing it. Whereas before I was like slightly muffled, but not as. Oh, thank you so much for joining. But yeah, it's Dharma acid powders. Yes. Oh, it is coming out really, really well. And I'm like I'm really beyond happy with this. Like, I'm not disappointed or anything. I'm just thinking like, oh, if I wanted to make sure like that was like a clean edge, it's a little like when I've played around with something similar. I think it was like a bonus episode on Dye Pot Weekly's birthday. I did one skein of yarn with something like this and got like purple and speckles and gray, and it was so cool, and I was really excited. Let me see if I can find that yarn. I don't know if it's actually still in the shop or not. I can't remember if this is one that has sold. No, it has not. So I think the third and fourth picture will show it. And so it was really cool that I was able to get this done. I think like Dyeing Lessons with Darth Vader. Oh shoot. You're not gonna want, oh, that's why. It's because it, there. All right, so this is the yarn that I'm talking about. That I added, and so that one, there was just one in the pan, and so like I didn't have to, like I flipped it over and added more dye to the other side, I think. Well, now I don't remember. With one in the pan, like there's like when I was adding the dye to it, and this might be the thing that was different. The water level was, the yarn was at the surface in some areas and not in others. So when the dye could hit the water first, it would spread out more without me really futzing with it too much. And then when it can hit the yarn first, then you get those speckles. And so maybe that's something that I need to do with, I can have some more water, but I can create sort of like a mountain. Ooh, I could create like a mountain in the middle where I want a speckle, and then have the others a little more submerged in water. Ooh, that would be fun. That's why I like these live streams, because I like come up with a lot of ideas. And I think that it is just really fun. You guys give me a lot of inspiration as we chat. Yeah, this, oh, you guys, I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you for like joining me on these dyeing adventures, and these dye-alongs started because you guys asked for it, and it's a lot of fun. I find it to be really fun to both pick a picture and then fun to challenge myself to go for a specific color. A lot of time, my personal approach is I'm going to play with these colors. We're going to see what happens. Like, ooh, look, that's really, really cool. It's a little more nerve-wracking when you're trying to go for something really specific. But in general, I find that when you go in with the mindset of, I wonder what will happen if, or I wonder what kind of color I'll get if, then you can always be really excited with the results. But it's a little easier to feel disappointed where if you're like, okay, I want to create this exact yarn with these exact colors, and without, yeah, I found that the times when I've been a little more disappointed in a project, it's because I had a vision and I didn't achieve my vision. But I'm achieving my vision here. I'm just, you know, having to, I think from like the people who, indie dyers who do a lot of yarn and will dye like 50 to 100 skeins in a day, they have like techniques down where they can dye one side, dye the other, and they have what works. And so I'm still like, and one of the things and the reason why I film everything is because I'm still trying to figure out what exactly works for me, and what ways of applying powders do I like the best, etc., etc. So, are mini skeins allowed in the dye-along? Yes, mini skeins are allowed. You could, I mean, with the dye-along, you could tie-dye a t-shirt, or you could take semi-solids that you've dyed. Like, you could do like you could also submit like a finished knit item where you take, maybe you're taking different yarns that you dyed that are in your stash and you incorporate them in a way that the final product is inspired by the photo. So what you can submit is extremely loose. You know, you definitely don't have to use the same kinds of dye that I used. And like, so I'm going to pull up the inspiration photo again. But the, you know, I looked at this and I was like, ooh, I want to do speckles. And I want to have like these blues from the sky and from the mountains. But what you draw from this picture might be different. Like there was the suggestion of hand painting these trees on a blank, which is a gorgeous suggestion. You know, you could not go for speckles and go for green and blue, variegated or dip dyed. Like ultimately, what's fun about this, and the reason why I like trying to include your photos in this, in the recaps, is because like dozens of us could look at the same image and come up with something completely different. And I want to learn about that completely difference. So, cool. See how this is doing. Cool. All right, let's see. See, it's nice when I start to move things and I see things that look speckled. That is encouraging to me. I do think I am going to flip it. Let's just flip it and see. Yeah. Because when I had moved it, there we go. Moving this end, and I'm keeping blue a little bit up. But we can move around and see if there's any areas that feel like they might need a little more color. Yeah. Aha. Die on the spoon, die on the spoon. You'll try this tonight. I have to have on hand right now is food coloring. The wheels are turning. Oh yeah, food coloring is fine. Like again, like this is my inspiration. This is my version. You can do an exact replica of whatever it is I did, or you can do, you know, you can do whatever you want. You're testing on speckling with acid dyes. You have a mini skeins. Awesome, yeah. This is just a way, like, this is sort of like a challenge to maybe try something new, get a little bit outside of comfort zone. That was a heavier spot. And adding some down on our greeny bit for good measure. Wash my gloves. So that way I can reuse gloves. I wash and then I go with them. Oh guys, I forgot. I wanted to have like a blank to use. I wanted to have a blank that I start using as a rag on my hands. But soon. Okay. You're dyeing tomorrow. Can't decide what technique. Yeah, you can submit multiple pictures too. Like you're not limited to just one. And you know, I'll feature as many as like I can reasonably fit in my in the recap, but I wish I could feature everyone. And so excuse me, the ways to be seen are to either use the hashtag ChemKnitsDialong on Instagram. I follow that, and I go through and I look when I'm doing the recap. And then the other way that you can be featured is by there is a pinned post on the ChemKnits Facebook page, facebook.com/ChemKnits, and you can reply with a picture to that dialogue post, which will be this picture right here. And so the post with that photo, and then I will pick from those and include them in the recap for this live stream, which will come out sometime in early to mid-January. If you want to share pictures with me, but you don't want me to include them in the video, you can do that in the ChemKnits Facebook group. So the group is ChemKnits Lab. I'll include a link. The only requirement to join is that you like the fiber arts, but please make sure that you say what kind of fiber arts you like, whether just like dye yarn or knitting, just one quick thing, because that's how I weed out people who are looking to just join as many groups as possible. But that in there's a thread, or you can even just make a post and you can share things in there, and anything that's shared in the group, I will not share outside of the group without, I just won't. If there was ever something that I want to ask if I could share, I would reach out to you personally to get permission. But otherwise, like, posts in that group are private. And so, yeah. So I don't want you to worry that I would ever share anything without your consent. But I think it's really fun and as I said, the November recap is now up. That's on the channel, and you go through, and at the end, you get to see the yarn that I did, and then the inspiration photo, and then a bunch of yarn that you guys did. And I just think that it's so cool, the different ways that people decide to go about it, and the different things that people take from the image. And technically, you don't even have to go off of the colors in the image either. You could look at this and be like, ooh, I want to play with blue and green. Or you could look at this and, if you're hand painting on a blanket, oh, I want to go for the shapes and the scene, but I'm going to use different colors. That's okay too. It's just really, really fun. But the reason why I wait so long to do the recaps is that I want to give you guys time to die along. But then on the 15th of the month is when I'll share January's inspiration photo, and I have no idea what that's going to be yet. But then I'll do my version in a live stream maybe, or a pre-filmed episode, and yeah, it's just fun. I have a lot of fun with this. I think it's a really nice challenge. It's definitely a bit of a challenge, but ultimately it is just a ton of fun. Cool, just checking. And I guess here a little reminder, if you guys want anything from the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop right now, I'm going to be going to the post office right after this live stream. So if you purchase something like those cool tote bags, now I will ship it out today. Otherwise, it'll wait till tomorrow. I know that holiday deadlines are. Did I not set a timer? Holiday deadlines are coming up. I didn't set a timer. Oh dear, sitting here waiting and waiting. Oh, nope. Yeah. Ho. I love this green. Just set it for 3 minutes. It's funny because when I went and did my last Dharma order, I was like, oh, what do I need? What do I want? And I was looking through the colors that I had and starting in how many purples. I like trying to mix colors, but for playing with speckling and stuff, having the pre-mixed colors I thought would be really useful. And yeah, I just set a timer, but I'm putting the gloves on to check. Yeah, and this is one that I added in that I hadn't added to my initial orders. So let's see if there are any areas. seem to be lacking some speckles. Okay, this one's looking pretty good. This one might need a little more right there. How are you looking, friend? That one's pretty good. Okay, I think just like right there is that last spot where I want some more. The only thing I don't like about this respirator is that the other one I could like flip it down and just
Sort of have it around my neck, and this one it's harder, a little harder to do because it's bigger. Ooh, that looks like a little bit of grass green right there. Barely using. Oh, okay, then I did too much. That was too much. Whoops. Whoopsie. Get those little last flecks off. Too bad. And that's going to spread out a bit to hit water. I was doing so well with my control today. Things have to go exactly where I wanted it. Oh well. So the fun thing about this is that this is going to be like a speckled yarn. There's going to be, I would call it semi-repeating, because I think that the size of this dark green patch may not be consistent on every single round, but I think it's going to look so, so cool. I hope at least. Oh, thank you, timer. I'm going to set you again. And then I still have dye in that cup, so I'm going to dye,
I'll dye one more skein. It won't really be like an inspiration one, but what do I have right here? Aha! I've got some scroll glimmer. We'll do a little leftover dye here. Let me find a zip tie. But man, I'm in a Facebook group for independent yarn dyers, and some of them have the most amazing equipment, like these warming shelves, so you could have like multiple of these pans, like all heating at the same time. Steam tables. There's just some truly, truly incredible stuff out there. And it's like, ooh, someday if I had like a whole like dedicated studio, oh, it would be so nice to have a full studio. But my plan, ultimately, like there's some things that make sense. I'm doing myself bigger since we're just waiting. But there's some things that would make sense for me to have that would be helpful. Like, I mean, I'd love to have a steam table or a warming thing or something, or a bunch more of these pans. The thing I want most is like a dedicated dye kitchen, so that way I'm not like running to the shed a lot. But for me, like my primary focus is filming these videos versus creating the yarn is part of filming the videos versus making a ton of yarn to sell. And so, link for the tote bags, yes. Yes, hold on. It's in the, oh no, the link was right there. Here is the tote bag link. I think I have like 17 of them, but I think I put 15 in the listing in case I notice like a quality control issue. But there's the link for the tote bags. They're like really nice. I'm like, I want to use them all myself, but I cannot. I will say, oh yeah, did I already say, make sure you subscribe to the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel if you're not. You guys know I release at least 2 new yarn dyeing videos every week. Even during the holidays, there will be a video on Christmas Day and New Year's Day this year. The Christmas Day one is ready to go. The New Year's Day one is editing. Is in editing, but should be ready to go hopefully tomorrow. And then, yeah, there's just a lot of fun content. What else was I going to say? Subscribed, but also make sure that you follow me on social media because there will be some really cool things coming up with I mean the ChemKnits birthday. So I'm just at ChemKnits on Instagram and Facebook.com/ChemKnits. I think that I'm planning on something special that will happen, kind of be 2 special things that will happen at the same time, one on Facebook and one on Instagram. At least that's my plan. We'll see how that goes, but I'm working towards it. I'm also working on, and this will take place I think in early January, I have dyed the yarn so I can do some fade tests. I know some people have experienced some fading with food coloring, which is something that I've been really lucky with, unless I've left something in the sunlight in direct sunlight for months, certainly many weeks. So I dyed 3 skeins of Broken Violet. I'm planning on just keeping 1 out of direct sunlight. I'm going to wet 1, like I was blocking the yarn or something, and leave that in direct sunlight, and have 1 dry in direct sunlight, and keep track of it over some days, weeks, whatever, just to see what we can see. But that is something that that's something that I know that you guys have been wanting to see, and I think is an important learning test. I know I wanted to try to knit socks by Christmas, and I did not. I also wanted to try to finish Lucas's quilt by Christmas, and I did not. But my schedule is actually like a lot more manageable for the coming, I think with the coming year. There's a lot of stuff so far that was, not that it was unmanageable, but I had some things that were like just hectic. Let's see. Okay, we're good. We're good there. Let me get a safe spot to put them. And by safe spot, I mean like a spot without any dye powder. Which, actually, there is none in this pan. That's kind of cool. Figured it was worth rinsing it out just in case. And we had like some food delivery that came in a bunch of these, and I just saved them to use for dedicated dye stuff. But oh, that is so pretty. That is so pretty. Can I touch you? Yeah. Not for very long though. Okay. Save some of this water. All right. We've got our yarn over here so we can start cooling. Probably is not going to cool very much because it's not going to cool a ton because there's still a ton of liquid in there. But I've got our scroll glimmer, and I'm bringing it to the pot. Oh no. I'll just end up pouring more water in. I was going to bring it like really saturated, but I didn't want to drip water all over the kitchen. So this time, actually, maybe I don't want more water. And there probably was a little bit of powder on the sides because I see a tiny bit sort of like coming up over there. But you guys can just see how much this can spread out. And I'm not going to even be able to do that mountain valley thing that I was sort of talking about
wiggle things open as much as I can. I know the goal here is to use up, increase the heat for a little bit. One of my goals now with this yarn is to use up some of that leftover dye powder that I have. Yeah, I might need to go back in if it doesn't feel balanced, but here, like, I have pretty good access to the whole skein. And yeah, I might be seeing a hint of some green in there already. Hello, welcome everybody. I'm gonna take this off so I can make sure I can see the chat. Yes, but if you're just tuning in, I've now got some leftover dye powder that we are going to use and sort of like speckle this guy. But yeah, let's jack the heat up first. Make sure things are nice and hot. The thing here now is before we had yarn, it was very low immersion, and we had yarn at the surface of the water. Here you can see that there's a lot more like water to yarn sort of ratio. And so while we will still be able to get some speckles, colors will spread out a lot more. So I think that if last time I had more water, that's something that we would have been able to see more spread. But try to put on the respirator upside down. And so one of the reasons why I'm not wearing the respirator when I'm not dealing with the powders is that it doesn't work with vapors. This is really just physically creating a barrier so that way I don't inhale anything nasty. All right. We've got this is our forest green powder. Let's go for, there you can see, I see some of that lime green that I saw before, but you can see that these colors are spreading out more because sometimes I'm hitting water first and sometimes I am hitting yarn first. In contrast to the really, really sharp speckles that we were doing before. But there's definitely some breaking. And by breaking, I mean because there's a hint where I saw lime green. So I think that this mixture might just have like a little bit of another color. And so then if I add like a ton of dye down here, like we were doing before, but this time since we've got more liquid, like when I shake this around, it will penetrate more. Gosh, I guess I am sort of going for a very similar yarn. Maybe I'll leave that other end white. I'm going for a very similar yarn, but with some more water and without the blue base. And I have a removable zip tie here. This is Knit Pick Stroll Glimmer, the yarn that I'm using. And if you'd like to learn more about any of these yarns or the steam pan or the zip ties that I'm using, you can find affiliate links to all of that in the video description. And so like, while I am like a Knit Picks affiliate and stuff, I paid for all the equipment myself, and all thoughts and opinions, blah, blah, are my own. I'm not leaving it white. I'm just going for some really, really light speckles at that end. That's really cool. And I still have a lot of dye left. I might need to add some dye to the other side. But let's give this 5 minutes and then we'll see. So I'm using the leftover dye bath. It started off with 4 cups of water, some saturated yarn, so I'm estimating 6 to 8 cups of water. And then 4 tablespoons of vinegar. And I am reducing the heat to low. And this yarn is Stroll Glimmer. So it is 70% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 5% stellita. And it's a silver stellita
in this yarn. Whew. I wonder what would happen if you did an ice dye in a steam pan and then brought the heat up to melt the ice. Ooh, that could be cool. Yes, it is really, it's not coming, the colors aren't coming through well. This is really like, it's a very bluish green, but there's no question that it's a green. You can see like maybe the color is called forest green. Maybe I would call it more of like a spruce green because there's so much blue in it. But, okay guys, I'm like in love with this yarn. Oh, looks like the moon. It does. Oh, it reminds me of, wow, these are great compliments. The moon, Van Gogh Starry Night. Thank you. Yeah, you guys all have some really, really good ideas. Oh, I can bring my face back up. Yeah, I feel like when I flip it this time, you'll see that the penetration is so good. But again, we have 1 skein in the pot versus 3. Yeah, the color really is not coming through. It's 100% green. And that was something that I was struggling with before. And like, even on this camera, my pants, like this, like it's pretty much as green as my pants. I wonder if I tried to, no, I tried to like take a picture and show it. But yeah, it is, oh good, that's finally going good. Okay, I am going to send you guys to a brief commercial break. While we're waiting for this, I'm going to go drink some water, and I will be back. I don't even know what a slate insertion is. Oh. Oh, whoops. Waited too long to hit the button. If you don't see an ad, don't worry. YouTube has some algorithm to determine. Oh, this is so pretty. I want to do this on a blank. That's one thing I have not really tried with these acid dye powders. I have not tried this on a blank yet. But this would be, like, this is just a stunning, this would be a stunning gradient to have, like, on a sock, where if you were doing toe up, to have, like, a large section of the saturated color, and then to have it, like, sort of speckle up. That would be so pretty. Especially if you had some, like, if you're going to do, like, a contrasting heel, you could have some semi-solid in that color, too, for heel, and maybe a little bit for the cuffs. Yeah, it is fun to think about another way, like, you know, this is why sometimes there's, like, too much, like, I have a lot of videos come out on one day, because I'm like, ooh, I've got leftover dye, and ooh, this is so cool. So you may look navy on one and greenish blue on another. Color is really hard to keep consistent from monitor to monitor unless we all have the same calibrated screen. Thank you, Lorelai. That is 100% true. I think that even without, like, calibration on my screens, it's looking like the colors are not coming through at all. So I know that, like, that is one problem, but it's interesting that I also will see a difference between what I see in the streaming software and then what I see come through on YouTube. Trying to sort of tell it now to, yeah, so Miss Groves, it's not your end that's the problem. Part of the problem is what's coming through from my end, and that the colors are not reading. It's the camera is not picking them up truly. So roast. Ooh, I could use some good standby music. Although I don't know if my computer could handle that. But yeah, I should show off my leggings there. We've got They're like little knit stitches. It's like a color work sweater on my, printed onto my leggings. Okay. We're gonna need to flip you, but still got more color, or else we're gonna have to come up with another idea. But I think what I want is to flip you. I'm gonna move the tie over here, pick you up, flip you over. Yeah, so you can see, oh, that did not flip. So you can see now from me just flipping it that we got more color penetration to the other side. At the beginning of this video when I flipped the yarn, and we're seeing less speckles here, we're seeing more sort of like where the colors did spread out a bit. I don't recommend putting your hands in a hot pan, but this is like actually not too hot. I'm just trying to get things spread out so I can get that dark color where I want it. Yeah, there we go. Sort of like move that down. There we go. Yeah, but where the dyes are hitting the surface more, that's where we get more of the color to spread out. But yeah, I'm like, ooh, am I going to be able to use up all this dye on this one, or am I going to need to go for like round 3? I definitely have more yarn downstairs. I frequently try to bring more, especially like when I'm doing these live streams. So let's see. All right, we are safe. Let's do this. That's a lot of dye that's still in my cup. Yeah, that like grass green. There's like an apple green that shows up in some spots, which is very intriguing to me. Because again, my hypothesis with that like apple green, which I think I covered up, so there must just be some like flecks in, it must be like a dye mixture, and that must be why we see that. And I'm going really, really light. Barely moving my fingers down here. And down here, let's go big. Although I did not spread that out enough. Oh well, that's going to come down there. That's okay. Let's push you up there. You can grab it, and okay, we're not too wet. There we go. There we go. Wash through the other hand. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and search for one more skein of yarn to use up this dye. But that is cool looking. Ooh. See if there's any questions. And yeah, feel free to let me know if you have any questions in the comments or whatever. I wish this was coming through more true.
And I'm going to see if I can take a picture so that way you can see like the tiniest amount of the, there we go. Nope. Steam. The tiniest amount of the grass green. I think that's just wild. All right, what other colors do I have? You're good. All right, this is not going to pre-sew for very long, but I've got some Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn. Now this one will not take up dye as fast because it's not superwash, but we'll see what we can create in this pan with that last bit of dye. Because this color is just absolutely incredible. Yeah, so as like a behind the scenes ChemKnits moment, like this is where some of those like leave no dye behind videos come from. Because I'll film like something with an inspiration, and then I'm like, okay, I've got dye powder. What will I do with it? I want to use this up. I can't dump it. I don't want to throw it away, and I can't dump it back in the container. And so then that's how I come up with this kind of stuff. But I am going to jack the heat back up. Oh, I'm seeing some more of that other green in there. That's so cool. But there's definitely, oh crap, I'm touching the spoon. I was touching with my glove hands. Oh, Rebecca. Actually, none of that stained me this time. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, I still have to go to the post office. So like I said, I'm going to the post office. I know I sold 2 of the skeins from the November dye-along, and so those have to be dropped off today. Hopefully the line won't be too bad. I've been pretty lucky with the post office. Why can't you put it back into the container? I suppose you could. I worry about introducing too much moisture into the container, and this probably is something that other dyers might do, but coming from my like chemistry background, I would never put anything back in a container. I might get like a second container and put it into use later, but I don't want to contaminate the container with the stock that I used. Now, today, because I was only using one color of powder, I probably, if I had way too much dye, I have enough that like I can get some color on one more skein and I think it'll be fun. But if I had like a ton of dye, I probably would do it. But if I was working with like 3 or 4 colors and not washing my hands in between each one and have them in these containers, the dyes themselves, even without a moisture concern, would be contaminated potentially with other colors, and then that could shift the colors that I make in the future. So that is why, excuse me, I do not sort of go back and forth. And oh, I didn't take a funny thumbnail photo. Oh well. Okay, this color is not completely exhausted yet, but let's see what we can do. There we go. So it hadn't exhausted yet. We saw some at that other end. But by doing this, we were able to sort of like soak it up, and it took some of these whites like down a little bit of a notch, I think. But where am I going to put you? Like I need more pans. I could put it in the same pan where our other yarn is cooling, but just in case there's like some extra something or other in there, I don't want to. And I have this jar. Trying to save some of that water. Ooh, the sparkles from the Stellina are great. And there, just got it in a cup. And as it's sitting to cool off, it will sort of like stay hot for a while, and that will help all the things. What I'm going to do, okay, this is what I'm going to do for this yarn. No. Okay, I'm going to put it in the pan first. I was considering adding the dye powder to the dye bath like now, but I remember how uneven the soak up was from the when we did the blue. So, but I guess if I don't get as much color coverage as I want, oh, I didn't even use a koozie. What's it? I did not add a zip tie. I think we're going to want a little more water and not Rebecca hair. Although it would be fun to see what color we got on my own hair with acid dyes. I don't think that's quite what we want to do today. And I do not recommend using acid dyes to dye your own hair. Okay, I'm just going to add a lot of water. We're no longer in a low immersion territory. This was the water that I was using for the pre-soaks. I am going to add more vinegar. 1, 2, 3, and then that last tiny bit because that's what I had partitioned in my cup. This has not pre-soaked that long at all. And this is our non-superwash yarn. Again, it's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. And we're going to use the rest of that powder and see what we can get. Let's see. You like to put your extra dye powder in a jar for mystery surprise dyeing. Ooh, that's fun. That sounds really, really fun. Especially because, like, if you mix two powders together, when you speckle, you might see some of those different colors come apart. Like, some of it might hit and you might see the mixture. But just like we've been speckling with this today, and I've been seeing some pops of a brighter green. Yeah, but I'm now curious. If I put this laptop camera on, there. Can you guys kind of see how green that is? Like, it's very, very green. A cool toned green versus like a yellowish green, but how hot are you? Oh, we're actually nice and warm. Okay. I can turn the heat back down. It's nice and hot. I don't recommend sticking your fingers into the dye pans. I have like a sense of like what I can handle comfortably, so that's why I did it. But I don't recommend it. This is one of those like, you know, use common sense. Do as I say, not as I do. Sometimes do as I do. I try to let you know. All right. My hands, I don't want to get these gloves stuck in yet, though. My hands will get dry. Dry, hands, dry. Do. Somebody of that, like, see, here's my whole, this is why I sound really muffled. Someone compared me to somebody like Darth Rebecca or something. But yeah, to see if I'm inhaling anything. So, oh, there's our dialogue picture. I think I can get right on. I do miss having a fume hood. I think having like a dedicated dye fume hood would be pretty cool. All right, let's go for this. So this is how much dye I have left. But not like a ton, but not like a tiny amount either. And I'm going ahead and tapping some of it into my hand, and hopefully, oh no, not different. Okay. And we're gonna, I'm not really going for speckles as much as I'm going for just spreading the dye out around the pan. That's sort of more what I'm going for here. You can see I've got some all-overness. There's my spoon friend. And yep, I am even moving it. I'm going for sort of like a speckled, subtle speckled, semi-solid, tonal, whatever you want to call it, kind of friend. Oops. Okay, and then I'm going to go try to capture. I'm now rinsing my hands into this cup of water. Like I had some dye on there, and I'm going to come and pour this in. And then, again, move things a little bit. So, it'll be a pretty, and again, so now this time it's looking a little more muted, but it's and it's actually looking really teal as well, but it's definitely not gray like it kind of looks on the screen. Okay, but I have successfully used up that dye. I am going to start, I think, a mystery dye cup, though. I think that would be really, really cool and useful. All right, and now is the time where I'm starting to wipe like around my counter, like on the other side of this container, just to see, like, there's a tiny bit of a splash, but I'm not seeing, like, the dye that I was sprinkling pretty much is completely in the pan. Let's see, I'm not seeing any on the floor. There will be some over here. So I was putting the spoon down on here. I'll need to clean that, but yeah. there was some dye. But, obviously in our pan itself, but honestly is not bad. I think the first time I was ever using this, I was terrified by how much these dyes would spread. And it honestly isn't bad. I'm not saying, like, don't take precautions. Take precautions. Take precautions. Like, I'm wearing a respirator. But, yeah, and I'm checking up on the vent. And I'm not seeing any evidence of any powder, just from what I wiped up on that middle section of the stove, which I'm going to go, like, wash after this. I always wash that. But Yeah, it's really, really not bad. So, and I'm going to reduce this heat to low. Setting myself a timer for 10 minutes, but I'll probably let it cool.
Whew. I'll probably go ahead and let that cool in the, I'll let it cool in the steam pan. But in that 10 minutes, I'll turn off the heat. And yeah, I'm seeing like a little spot of that like more yellow color. Yes, I am live right now. Yeah, I'd love to know, Amy, if you mix them together for a solid color or if it comes out and like, yeah, what you do with your leftovers. But oh, I see. Thank you. Someone got the candy cane blank. And so I will ship that out like right when I'm done. Yay, thank you. Yeah, I never like back, I just washed the floor, so I'm sort of hovering. Back when I started, I dreamed like, ooh, I'd love to have a shop someday. And when I set up the shop earlier this year, like I really did struggle a bit in terms of like figuring out the balance. But my like commitment, like I want to dye yarn that people want to know how to create. I'm trying to like not sit on the wet floor. I want to dye yarn that people want to make. And I'm gonna make this bigger because that's just like a steamy, beautiful yarn back there. I want to dye yarn that people want to create. I want to experiment and try different ways of playing with color that maybe I haven't tried before. I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything by any stretch. And when I have a technique and I call it a name, someone else might have that technique and call it something else. It's all like with the dry rub and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that like as a community, like we learn from each other, and it's fun to just go and see, like, you know, I just did a new Gatorade video that will be coming out next year sometime. And yeah, it's just fun to like to have fun with it. But as I'm doing stuff for the shop, you know, the stuff that goes into the shop is the stuff that I've been doing in these videos. There are going to be a few, like as I've been working on creating like ChemKnits merchandise and stuff, I have some samples of things that I don't necessarily love, but there might be some things that go in like for like, you know, heavily discounted as like, hey, this is a one-off, like this mug with a black interior or something that aren't the colors that I ended up going with in the end. So some of that might be coming up in the shop at some point. But yeah, it's just been like your support and you guys like going and buying the yarn that I dye in these videos really does help me like reinvest in everything. And it's allowed me to, like, all of your support has allowed me to go and get like all of this equipment and then do things like the 50 nifty Americolor kit, where like, you know, that was like more than a budget for like one video, but you guys like supporting all that really does help, and so I really appreciate it. And I cannot see the chat right now. So you've never considered dyeing yarn until you found my channel. Since you're an astronomer, you get a lot of inspiration from astronomical objects, and in no way I ever find such yarn in a store. Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, so then you must have enjoyed my Galaxy, the Galaxy dye-along last month then. Yeah, I mean, it's like some local yarn stores definitely carry independently dyed yarn. And like I have no plans of, like, I don't dye enough of like, I dye mostly one-offs. Like today I did 3 in a colorway, and that's like a rarity for me. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, this has been, when I started this blog, I was like, I'll put this out there. Maybe someone will read it. Maybe someone will see it. And then with some of the early videos, like my sister-in-law was like, oh, how do I do this again? So I made a video for her. And then like some of the dyeing stuff was like, oh, I can't capture this in a picture. I should film a video. And then I partnered with another website and like was making videos and like, yeah, it's just like yeah, it's been a journey. And oh yeah, Jason, there's a ton of content on here. Um, but it's fun to see like, oh, you don't see anything quite like that. And some of the sock blanks that people did that I shared in that recap are actually out of this world amazing. You wish I would do minis for the shop. Oh, I have some minis that I can put in, and yeah, that actually would be fun. I have yeah, the only time I've done minis in the shop so far was with the Hanukkah sampler, but that was a full sampler. And I had some minis, like just one night things, and then those sold out really quickly. But I have some additional minis that maybe, yeah, maybe I'll find like a little way to do some like mini gifts. Oh. The web store you buy wool from has a mix your own roving choice. Oh. What fibers do they have? I would get BFL and silk. That's probably my favorite blend. I've never dyed it, just spun it. But you could do like BFL and silk and alpaca and the Paradise Fibers box for December. That was merino, cashmere, alpaca, and silk, and is like, yes, Jason, thank you. That's exactly my philosophy. That like dyeing is an adventure, and making mistakes. Like you can always over dye anything, but also like it. If you go through and see the like really ancient dyeing videos, I was dyeing mini skeins. I was dyeing 3 grams. Like I had one skein of bare palette yarn that I was trying to stretch to be in as many videos as I could because I was like, I don't have the budget to do this. Yes, I think we'd all love to know what this web store is. You might not be able to put a link in the chat. I don't think it'll let you, but you can definitely like, with my blessing, put that shop name in. You never thought you would dye yarn. You only picked up crocheting this past summer, and then YouTube recommended my videos. Yay, YouTube! No mistakes, only happy accidents. There are a couple mistakes that you can make. You can come out with a felted ball. I've got a video that I need to edit that's on spinning felted roving. You can do it. You're not going to get lace weight singles or anything, but you can get a cool yarn. You could burn your yarn. It's hard to come back from that. But maybe you can make a pom-pom or something with the unburned parts. Burning your yarn, I think, is probably the biggest. That and like really felting it are the 2 big mistakes. And sometimes I'm a little rough with the wool yarns as I'm dyeing to show like, hey, look, I can move this around in this pot this much and it hasn't felted. So it takes like a lot to actually felt it. 3 grams were not very much. And because I know they are 3 grams because when I went to, when I did my Kickstarter, one of the rewards was that I would give some bonus, like a stretch goal was an extra like 5 gram mini skein. And I went into some of these early ones and I'm like, ooh, these gotta be 5 grams. And they weren't. I was like, these are all too small. But I definitely have some minis. I have not burnt it yet. But that's the reason why when I microwave things, I do it in 2-minute increments. But I think, with some people, they might need a 1-minute increment or something. I think you need to know your microwave and how like strong it is. But I, right now, only microwave food safe stuff anyway. The shop is based in England, and the name is World of Wool. Oh, thanks for that recommendation. That sounds like really, really awesome. And I've got family in the UK. How long on average does it take to rinse and wash after dyeing? You had some cotton you dry rubbed and it took 45 minutes. So it can take, some things can take a while. I don't ever spend like 45 minutes constantly at the sink. Let me turn that off and think about it. So tie-dye takes a lot longer to rinse. But I find that the times where I'm having the most rinsing are when I started using, I think, a little less of the dye, then it didn't take as long to rinse. Like when I use the tie-dye powder on the counter and I sort of sprinkle it on, the rinsing there isn't bad. Like it's really hasn't been very, very bad. Um, but tie-dye in general is harder, and I think that like sometimes it's really just a couple minutes, sometimes it's more. If it's more and like a food coloring or acid dye, I'll rinse it till the water's mostly clear, and then I'll add some vinegar into the dye bath and let it sit for a while, and then try rinsing again. But I try to like get things as clear as possible. Um, oh, that's so fun. So on average, most things take like these will like usually I film like so I know a little bit about the time from like the filming aspect. So usually when I'm filming the washing, I film between like 1 minute and like 2.5 minutes, most of it. And so sometimes I'll do a couple more rinses after that. But so I would say that most yarn it's under 5 minutes, and I can do multiple at once. So you cheat with drying your yarn and putting it on a drying rack over a heater vent. So when the heater kicks in, it blows dry the yarn and it hasn't caused any bad effects. Oh, interesting. Yes, the drying stage can take a while. Right now I use a salad spinner sometimes to spin out some of the yarn or spin out some of the water. But with now that it's winter, things will dry within 2 days. They'll be very, very dry. In the summer, it can take at least 3 to get like mostly dry. But I have a drying rack set up over in a bathtub, so that way any drips it'll catch. And so, but with any hand dyed yarns or really like any vibrant colored yarns from anywhere, if it's something that is machine washable, I recommend washing it on its own because you can find bleeding in a lot of commercial yarns. And so that's not just like an indie dyer problem. And just like think about like the one red sock with your whites and how you could get everything pink. So those are kinds of things that can happen. But all right, the timer went off. I'm turning off the stove. Don't want to burn my house down. And so that is going to cool off. But I'll come up and sort of do like a mini little like, recap of what we did today. Okay, so with the last leftover dye on Wool of the Andes, we've created this spruce colored semi-solid. Yes, the dye is forest green, but I'm calling this color spruce. We've got sort of like a speckled repeating kind of gradient thing on some Stroll Glimmer. And then our knocked off the empty vinegar cup. That was not messy. And then the yarn that was the purpose of this video. And this is the yarn that was inspired by the inspiration photo, where we've got this, again, more of a sprucey green, speckles, and then the blue on the other end. And that was inspired by this photo, which I'm going to make bigger. This photo, which was taken by Will Stewart, and I got it from Unsplash, which is a site, and I have permission, like all the stuff on their site you have permission to use. So that's why I have gone there, because otherwise I don't have a lot of access to stock photos. Let's see. You've been letting your yarn hang dry, and then I put my sweater rack for my dryer and put it in there on low heat for now. But you have a sweater rack for your dryer? Mind blown. That's really, really cool. Oh, thank you. I'm like really, really into the way that one came out. There's sometimes when I'm like, I think one of the good things about this dialogue is that um, I think it's put me outside of my comfort zone because I'm trying to go for a specific color. And I found that to be like a really good challenge for me because a lot of times I'm like, okay, let's just go for this and we'll see what happens. Like, I love to mix mystery colors and then see what comes out the other end. Um, and a lot of other stuff I do sort of by trial and error. But it's kind of cool to like have like a target in mind and to try to go for that. But again, if you guys want to participate in the dialogue and potentially be featured in the recap from this live stream, you do not have to nail the colors. You just need to create something that's inspired by this, whether it's a sock blank, you could tie dye a t-shirt, it's really like up to you. It's more of just how are you going to play with color? So yeah, it's awesome. But all right, I need to sign out. I have some shipping to go and take care of. Yeah, I have some shipping to take care of, and yeah, then back to the editing chamber. Um, but yeah, I'm really really excited by all of this yarn. And oh right, I guess I have to wash this yarn too. But it won't take long to wash these yarns. These will be like a under 5 minutes one, and especially because I'm not filming it. um, but I do try to film. The reason why I try to film the washing is because I want you guys to see how much, like when I did a technique with this much dye, how much bleeding was there, and so that give you a little bit of an idea of what to expect. No, it's my pleasure. I love being able to hang out with all of you while I'm doing this. It's fun. It's a little more like freeform than when I'm filming an episode, but often very similar. Usually I go in and just sort of see what happens. But I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank all of you. And I would like to thank all of you for hanging out and for all of your support. And I will chat with you guys soon. And if you haven't seen this morning's video, it is a really, really fun one. And I hope that you guys all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And yeah. I will chat with you guys soon. Bye, everyone.